Hello, my name is Andrew Thate from Resourcing Tomorrow. Delighted to be joined with us today by Jeff Townsend, who's the founder of the Critical Minerals Association. Delighted that you're with us today, Jeff.
Thank you, Andrew. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Perhaps you can just start off by telling us a little bit about the Critical Minerals Association. Why did you go and set yourselves up?
So we set the Critical Minerals Association up because we felt there was a rather large disparity between government downstream objectives, building electric vehicles, renewable energy, satellites, and actually understanding the company needs that make up the supply chain. So whether that's domestically or internationally with the geopolitics added to it, there was no government thinking around the supply chain. So we felt we needed to bring the industry together to share that voice and bring it to government and to decision makers, influencers, so we could start to understand that our mobile phones or our electric vehicles have supply chains, and there are British companies and other companies around the world doing the work that needs to be done, and they need support.
And specifically, you kind of like mentioned in your answer that you go and work with governments. Can you just go into a little bit of like depth as to how that might, as to like what work that might typically involve at your end?
Absolutely. So, Andrew, as you know, I've worked in politics for almost 20 years of my life, but I was born on a mine and I grew up around mining most of my life as well. So the CMA provides kind of three kind of accesses to government, and the work that we do is very much based on talking and discussing with governments, trying to get them to better understand critical minerals, whether that's in Whitehall with civil servants, and that's how do you deliver it, whether it's with politicians or ministers in terms of trying to build up the political will to tackle this issue, or whether it's simply about educating and informing the wider political network of decision makers, whether that be in Parliament or otherwise. And so we started in the UK. CMA was launched in the UK, but we have subsequently grown. We have partnerships in Canada with C2M2A, and we recently launched the Critical Minerals Association in Australia. So we are working with governments around the world on how to deliver secure ESG compliant supply chains for the downstream industries that these governments are trying to build.
And of course, your association is very kindly supporting Resourcing Tomorrow, which is the event that we're organising on the 29th of November to the 1st of December. And then at that event, you're speaking a little bit about the UK Critical Minerals Initiative, and obviously like what outcomes we can like hope to sort of see from that. Can you sort of like go into a little bit of depth as to what you might be talking about on that sort of like panel?
Absolutely, thank you. And yes, we absolutely support Resourcing Tomorrow. It's the discussion that needs to be had. We are at the beginning of a new industrial chapter, and so having these discussions about the role of critical minerals and how we're going to supply them is absolutely vital. In the UK, the government has recently released its resourcing future critical mineral strategy, and has 3 points: accelerate, collaborate, and enhance. So we'll be discussing the role of critical minerals in the UK government's overall industrial strategy, and how the government's ACE, accelerate, collaborate, enhance, builds a structure to facilitate that through the development of the critical minerals, both domestically and building international collaborations. And what do we hope to see over the next year? You know, it takes a lot of time. Governments do move slowly. But if we can start to see positive, proactive work to enhancing our domestic offers, so the work going down in Cornwall and the Northeast and Scotland and Northern Ireland, if we can start to see the government building relationships with other partner nations, Canada, Australia, EU, and then we can start to see the government taking a leading role in development of ESG legislation around standards, around empowering finance to drive this new critical mineral push. That's kind of what we're hoping to see over the next year. And I think that's what the government is now trying to strive to achieve.
And who can become a member of the Critical Minerals Association? And I guess the obvious follow-up is, how do they become a member of the Critical Minerals Association? I assume you obviously have a website and there's details on there.
Absolutely. We've got a website, which is criticalmineral.org. And we also have on that website, you'll be able to find the links through to Australia. So we have a charter by which we expect all our members to live up to. What we're looking for at CMA UK is for companies that are directly critical mineral companies, whether that be consultancies to them or exploration or midstream, and also those that are aligned to the UK as a country. CMA Australia does exactly the same, but for Australian companies, and C2M2A in Canada does exactly the same, but it does it for Canadian companies. So the independent associations, but criticalmineral.org, and you should be able to find all the links. And yeah, membership is, we're here to help. So the more voices we have and the more we can unite the industry, the faster we can see global leaders and decision makers pushing the critical mineral sector forwards.
Well, we're absolutely delighted to have your support and have the Critical Minerals Association support for Resourcing Tomorrow. Delighted to have you speaking at the event, and we'd certainly encourage our listeners who are hearing this interview to go and check out your website, and if they are in the critical minerals space, to definitely join your organisation. This was Andrew Thate from Resourcing Tomorrow with Jeff Townsend, the founder of the Critical Minerals Association. Thank you for your time, Jeff.
Thank you, Andrew. Looking forward to speaking at Resourcing Tomorrow.